most Jennable as always. Welcome back, welcome back. So I watched a movie last night, more like probably like a week ago when this video actually is posted. But current time being, the day after, I watched a movie, one that I've seen a few times, and that is Homeroom from 2002, starring obviously Busy Phillips, Erika Christensen, and also Victor Garber, Raphael Sborge, and as well as Constance Zimmer, along with a few other people, but not a huge cast. Mainly, we follow Garber's character, and then obviously Busy Phillips and Erika Christensen's character. Now, this movie, nobody ever talks about this movie. I actually picked this movie up ages and ages ago. It was a blind buy. I was gonna say possibly at Blockbuster when they were all closing, but there's no Blockbuster markings on here. But I think I bought it at like Disc Replay or something. Like, I know I bought it used, so it's sort of like I said, it was a blind buy, total blind buy, and yeah. But I do enjoy this movie. The movie is about a school shooting, the aftermath of a school shooting. And then, we are introduced to, obviously, Busy Phillips. She is being questioned in the police station and everything. She's, like, one of the few survivors within this shooting and everything. She's in the classroom when it happened. And then Erika Christensen is another survivor. She's the only person, the only student within the film that was shot and actually survived, because the bullet had kind of, like, didn't actually enter her skull or anything, but it kind of like went around, like in between the skin and the skull and everything. So she's recovering and everything, and the whole movie we're kind of like learning different things about the girls. At one point, we do find out that Busy Phillips' character Alicia is quite a bit older than a lot of the other students. There was like a lengthy lapse between like of an absence and everything, between like when she left school and came back and everything. Little things about her character that we eventually do learn and everything. But yeah, this movie is just a terrific little sort of movie and everything. And these two girls were not friends, like, it's made aware that they weren't friends or anything, at school or anything, but, like, Busy Phillips' character, Alicia, is kind of, in a sense, sort of forced, into visiting Erika Christensen's character, the one who was, survived the attack and everything, but was obviously hit, and, just little things and everything, the sort of, like, friendship that arises and whatnot, and like different ways that they're like over time you see obviously they're both kind of like helping each other heal and everything. They're both becoming kind of like confidants with each other. They're really the only ones that seem to be interacting, or at least we see are interacting about the whole situation that had happened, that they were both unfortunately participants in, that were uh around when this happened. So yeah, and this obviously happens during Homeroom because it's called Homeroom and everything. But yeah, the movie is not that bad. I feel like there are better movies, but this one is still really good. I really do enjoy it. I haven't watched it a whole ton. Like, actually, like I said, I've seen it several times, and since last night, I honestly can't tell you the last time I watched this movie, but I know that it's been one of those movies that I've been meaning since I started my channel. Literally, like, I know I've said that about a few movies, and honestly, every time that I do say that about a movie, it's true. Like, literally, ever since I started my channel 3 years ago or so, I have wanted to talk about this movie, and I never just have gotten time to until literally last night, because I was kind of, getting the urge to kind of watch something new, or maybe something I haven't seen in a while. So I chose this because I was kind of eyeing it on my DVD rack and everything. Really, the only kind of negative thing that I do have to say about this movie, I mean, obviously um, it's a little fluffy at times. It's a little like lifetimey, I feel at times, but I feel like it is handled really well. I feel like the script was done really well and everything. The one gripe that I really kind of do have is just like sort of like the acting, because like the all the actors that are in here, everything else that I have seen them in, or the few things that I've seen them in other things, such as like say Busy Phillips. I mean, you go back to a few years before this movie, like literally just a couple of years before this movie came out, she was in Freaks and Geeks. I know she's been in a slew of other movies and TV shows since then, and since this movie. Terrific actress. I love her work in the few things that I have seen her in. Same thing with like Erika Christensen. Like the few things, like I don't religiously follow either of these women. Less so on Erika Christensen, and I feel like they're better actresses than this. But like I said, that's really kind of the only gripe, and even like their not so great. Because here's the thing: I don't want to say that their acting is totally terrible in this, but you can definitely tell they're a little off in this, and not just them, but like I feel like the whole cast is a little not quite up to their A game. Like they give their best effort and everything, but just compared to what I've seen these other actors in, a little bit of other things that I've seen them in, definitely not like their best moments on film, but they're still good in this. And I feel like, especially towards the end, especially with Busy Phillips and Erika Christensen, like their characters, I feel like they finally kind of started to get into it. Maybe just because they were trying to make it feel like it was a little awkward for the characters trying to interact and dealing with either their issues, and then everything kind of like not necessarily being resolved, but coming to a place where they both have gotten so much off their chest and can now continue to fully recover from not just this instance, but the circumstance that they both went through, this shared experience, but other things like throughout their lives that maybe they can now kind of like grow and everything, and they sort of have allies and everything. It's just not a bad movie. It really is not a bad movie. I mean, definitely check this one out. And I was almost kind of debating too, and even talking about this one right now, just because I was kind of like, I don't know how many people are gonna like be interested. But I know a few guys, when I posted this on Instagram last night, were kind of like asking, like, hey, how is this movie? How is it? One such person who was asking, I know, was Lamont. I know he was kind of asking me on Facebook today. So yeah, I was like, you know what? I got to talk about this movie. I do. No, definitely check this one out. I'm not even sure if it's on any streaming service or anything. I mean, I try YouTube, so you can watch it free on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, honestly, if you have to like rent this, I would say for like maybe a few bucks at most, check it out. It's decent. Like I said, it's not like the best movie ever maybe dealing with this, but I like this one because it does show it really focuses on like these two people who were really like involved in this and involved in two very different ways. Like you guys will understand that statement if you check it out, or if you have checked this out, of the two girls, very differing experiences. You have the one Erika Christensen, as I said, was hit with a bullet, and then Busy Phillips. I don't really want to go too much into her character of like how she's connected and everything. I will say this: we do know that she was friends with the gunman and everything. So they're both of them are struggling with different things, both with like the circumstances and everything, and then Busy Phillips' character, kind of like processing this, but then also just knowing certain things and whatnot, and like, oh my gosh, what to do. But no, it is definitely, it's really good. And like I said, I like the fact that it was kind of focusing at least on like these characters, as opposed to, I feel like how other sort of like school shooting-esque type of movies, where it might be more focused on the gunman or the aftermath of the gunman, of like everyone in the like media and the police are like, oh, what's going on and blah blah blah. They touch on some of that in this, but I like, once again, like I said, I like how they're focusing on these two girls, two very different girls to begin with, not even friends, different set of friends and everything, and just all this different stuff. So definitely check this one out, you guys. Like I said, I think it'll be worth your time. Even with some of its little like quirks and everything, some of its little flaws and everything, it's still a really enjoyable movie. So just saying. For those of you who have actually seen this movie, let me know in the comments what you think of it. Some of the gripes you might have had about this movie, some of the positives you liked about this movie. So yeah, yeah. So anyway, you guys, thanks for listening to my thoughts on Homeroom from 2002. Till next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.